now I'm going to talk about my secondary English assessment. Sorry, let me set this up again. In this assessment, I chose a route in which I thought my secondary students could relate in the form of a technology route. So instead of giving a papered standardized test, I found one that I liked that was on the computer, so I felt that my students would react better to it given that the information was on the computer rather than reading and sitting through it. And so that was kind of cool to see. The student that I actually conducted the study on, he is an accelerated learner, and so therefore he barely missed any problems at all. And so I liked that. I think he adjusted and liked that it was a technology-based test. And so here I'll actually show you an example of the test. And so see, you have the questions, and then you just go ahead and click through. So that's kind of an example one. And so that is kind of how he went through the test. And where did this go? Sorry about that. So like I mentioned before, he almost scored a perfect score, and the ones he did miss, we reevaluated together and kind of went over how to approach the tougher questions, so to say. For the informal assessment, I really wanted to challenge him, and I gave him the task of finding 5 books that had to be approved by me and had at least serve at his proper age reading level, as well as being equivalent to 300 pages. And so I also wanted him to pick topics that didn't necessarily interest him, for example, kind of like sports and stuff like that. And with that, he would create, after reading the 5, a PowerPoint presentation with a minimum of 40 slides, explaining the significance of each book, the interesting facts, the pros and cons, as well as the history behind the author, and the significance of the book, specifically to each book. And I gave him a formal assessment of technology, like I mentioned, and incorporated and administered on the computer. And he will be given that informal assessment, which I really liked, and kind of kept it creative, and I think it challenged him, but he kind of wanted to prove me wrong in the sense of meeting the other subjects of categories he may or may not have really been interested in before. And like I said, gave me the minimum of 40 slide presentation after completing the 5 books, and I gave him half the semester to do so. So it was really interesting to see, but I really liked the approach of an assessment formally being technology-based. I feel like as our generation continues, I feel like ultimately if we continue with the formal assessment approach, that this is kind of how it's leaning towards. So